Bootcamps are intense 3 to 5 month programs designed to help you get industry ready in a relatively quick time frame. They're great for people wanting to switch careers into software engineering, data science, or UI UX design. Hello, my name is Manez. I'm a coding bootcamp graduate, currently working as a software engineer in the Chicagoland area for a Fortune 50 company. And on this channel, I help people break into software engineering. In this video, I'm going to be going over the class structure and technologies used by Fullstack Academy in their curriculum, so that if you're curious about software engineering or any boot camps in general, you know what to expect from Fullstack Academy. So let's get right into it. So I attended Fullstack Academy about 2.5 years ago, and I recently checked their website, and not much has changed in terms of curriculum and overall structure. But before going into the curriculum itself, I do want to give you guys an overview of the timeline in terms of how long it'll take for each portion of the cohort. The whole program itself is 17 weeks long, and you start off the program with foundations. Foundations is about 4 weeks, and you have checkpoints as a self-study. You have checkpoints at the end of each week that you need to complete and get a certain score to move on to junior phase. Junior phase is 6 weeks long. This is where you'll do majority of your learning in terms of classroom style and lecture and workshops in the afternoon. Between junior phase and senior phase, you have a week break, and after that 1 week break, you have senior phase, which is about 6 weeks again, and this is where you'll do majority of your development work that will eventually go on your resume when you apply to jobs. Alright, so let's get into the curriculum itself. So the first portion of the bootcamp is foundations. Foundations, like I said, is 4 weeks long. You have a checkpoint at the end of each week, and then you have a final checkpoint before you move on into junior phase. Foundations, you learn a little bit about TDD, which is test-driven development, very helpful later on in your career for sure. You learn about Git, GitHub, version control. You learn a little bit about prototypes within JavaScript. You learn about a little bit of front-end stuff, HTML, CSS, or the document object model, which is the DOM, and you learn about classes, factory functions, kind of very technical, behind-the-scenes JavaScript stuff. A lot of this stuff is I don't deal with it on a daily basis, but it's there. It's very important for you to build your quote-unquote foundations on before moving on to junior phase. Very important, so pay attention to that. So after foundations, you start with junior phase, and junior phase is, like I said, your majority of your learning in terms of classroom style. You learn the front end stuff, you learn back end stuff, and you learn database stuff. And some of the things that they'll go over is React. Definitely for the front end. There's some back-end stuff in terms of Node, Express, Redux, and if you don't know what these are exactly, you can look them up, but essentially these are the technologies itself that you'll use within Fullstack Academy, and then you'll eventually put these on your resume and eventually get hired. So you'll learn front-end stuff, back-end stuff, database. In terms of front-end, you'll learn Flexbox, HTML, CSS, not so much as that, but mostly React. You'll probably learn React hooks. You learn about the React lifecycle components, stuff like that. In the backend, you'll learn routing in terms of Express. You'll learn Redux, which is state management. You'll learn server-side code, which is very important if you're going to be a full stack developer. And then you'll touch base on databases, which is where you store your information and where you fetch things. And you'll learn about ORMs, which are basically object relationship manager or object relation mappers, but essentially it's how you read things from the database, how you write to the database. You learn a little bit about SQL as well, which is a querying language. So these are some things you might want to take a look into before getting into the program. And essentially junior phase, which is 6 weeks, it's divided into AM lecture and then PM labs in the afternoon, and the lecture is about 3 to 4 hours long, and labs can last after lunch till 5 o'clock, and depending on which portion of the curriculum you're on, it could take you longer, it could take you less time. But yeah, that's junior phase, pretty straightforward. So after junior phase, you have that 1 week of break. Pretty much use that to check in with your family and friends to make sure they know that you're still alive and kicking. Very important to get some rest and catch up on any missed assignments, or just catch up on sleep, really, because junior phase kind of takes over your life It did for me. I wasn't the smartest kid in the cohort, so I had to put in a lot of time to be, caught up with the material. But don't let that discourage you by any means. So after the 1 week break, you have senior phase. Senior phase is actually my most favorite part of the entire program, because you actually work in teams and actually work as a developer. You get a real feel of how that works and how that feels. So you have 3 different projects that you work in senior phase. The first one is Gray Shopper, and it's a guided team project, emphasis on guided. Essentially, your team works with a quote-unquote advisor or instructor, one of the instructors, and he guides you onto how to tackle things. And it's helpful because you're still not sure exactly how it works as a team, what you're supposed to do, what your role is. And that's about 2.5 weeks that you'll work on that project, and then you'll do a demo in front of the class at the end of those 2.5 weeks. Pretty fun. You'll understand what kind of developer you are, what kind of communication style you have, all that good stuff. Very fun. And then you have something called Stackathon, which is essentially your next project, which is a solo project. It's all up to you what you want to do about this. You can learn a totally new language, you could do something crazy, you can do whatever you want with this. And the idea for this is to actually emphasize to learn something new. That's what they tell you to do in the cohort. They want you to learn some sort of new technology to learn by yourself within 2 to 4 days. So you'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to work on your Stackathon, and then Monday you'll present what you've learned, what you've done. And I like this a lot because what I did is Raspberry Pi project with different modules. I attached like a sensor and made a little garage light out of it. It's kind of cool. You could kind of play around with it. Pretty fun stuff. And then after Stackathon, you have Capstone, which is your final project, and it's a team project. And this is not guided, meaning you won't have much guidance or input from your instructors. This is totally up to you and your team, and you can decide whatever you want. You can make anything you want. You can use any technology, any other programming language, and people get pretty creative. You can make an app for your mobile phone, you can make a desktop app, you can make a web application, you can make anything you want in terms of code. And all these projects go onto your resume, and while you're doing all this stuff, you'll also have career things. You'll have interview prep, you'll have resume development, you'll have a advisor that is designated specifically for helping you start applying to jobs and stuff like that. And then you also have friends and family night, where you demo these things to your friends and family that you can invite in person or online. For me, it was before COVID, so it was all in person in terms of friends and family. I'm not sure how they do it now. They probably have a Zoom link or something like that. And at the very last day, you have something called launch day, and essentially Fullstack invites different companies that they work with in the past, or the alumni that go and work at these companies and hire students from the cohort. Not everyone gets an offer, but it is a good opportunity to get the ball rolling in terms of interviewing and applications. And that's essentially it. It's pretty intense, 17 weeks, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion. 17 weeks, you learn a lot of cool skills, you'll meet a lot of cool people, and I think it's definitely worth it for someone that wants to switch careers into a different field. If you found this information helpful, definitely like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about how you go about applying, how you go about even learning before foundations, be sure to comment down below. Thanks again. I'll see you guys in the next one.